think we're good. Now, Joe, so this policy is just on you, but the second part of this benefit is that you can extend it to your closest family members and friends, no cost to you, no cost to them. So how this works, let's say, God forbid, something happens to your cousin Jeff. They were to die in an accident. Now, a $2,000 policy, just like yours, Joe, it's going to pay out to his family. It's at no cost to you, no cost to them. All you're basically doing, you're giving them like the option to take advantage of this, just as you are today. But the issue there is the ability to extend this is tied to my visit with you today because of your enrollment period. So it's very important, don't prejudge anyone's situations, kind of let them decide for themselves. The amazing part of this, it actually looks like they're giving you $20,000 worth of this benefit, which means you can extend it up to 10 families. Obviously, your cousin Jeff and also your uncle Michael automatically taken care of. Now, that does leave you with 8 more. Now, I know you mentioned you guys have the kids in sports and here locally and stuff. Their parents, or who is someone that you think could really benefit from this? What's their first name? Okay. Okay, and the next person? Okay. And the next person? Awesome. Okay. Well, Joe, Mary, make sure you give all of those families you extend the no cost benefits to just a quick call, text message, just letting them know that I'll be calling them the next couple of days. Normally, like as long as they have a heads up, they're really happy about it. But if I call them and they don't know who I am or why I'm calling, sometimes they get confused and they'll be upset with the both of us. So, please, please, please just let them know. Can you guys do that for me? Awesome. Okay. Well, Joe, Mary, what I'm going to do now is we're going to jump into the exclusive benefits that are provided through your union, through us, that you have to qualify for. Now, all the families, I tell you, they love this part of the program. It's really why 20,000 different groups handpicked American Income to handle the permanent, but also portable benefits for them for the past 70 years. The best thing, too, is next time you're at the group meeting or for your union for the pipe fitters, you got to make sure you tell them a huge thank you, okay? So first, what we're going to do, Joe and Mary, is we're going to start with the needs analysis software. The reason most people don't have the right coverage is they don't really know what they need. So in just a couple minutes, and after I review everything with you, we're definitely going to at least have an idea of where you're at. So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, see where you're at as of now. But before I do any of that, I do have some preliminary qualification questions to review with you. So the first one here is you must be a member of an authorized group or sponsored in by someone who is. The second thing here is you must have an active checking account with either a bank or a credit union. I'm assuming you have an active checking account. Okay. And the third one here is anyone in the household been diagnosed with COVID-19 virus, and if so, when? Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here to let the software run. Normally, the biggest concerns families deal with when it comes to handling these concerns is always affordability. We have this set up on where the concerns are based on around a 1 hour's wage per week. But just to make sure everything's accurate, what is a ballpark figure of your monthly income? Okay. And listen, Joe, Mary, I know this probably isn't a typical dinner time conversation, but have either of you decided or even discussed if you're going to do a funeral or cremation? Okay. Now, I do see lots of families, and some of them will have life insurance and other benefits outside of work because I know you guys don't have your group benefits. You don't control them, and they can always change. Do you have any life insurance outside of work? Okay, yeah, that's perfect. How much coverage? How much do you pay for it? Okay. And when did you get it? Awesome. Okay. Well, awesome. Well, I know exactly how all of that works. And Joe, do you get death benefits through work? No. Okay. And are either of you currently renting or do you guys own your home? Own? Okay. And what's the balance on the home? Awesome. And about how much debt outside of the home would you guys say you have? Okay. And have either of you started saving for a college education? Well, if I could speak now, kids' college education yet? Okay. Perfect. Awesome. And what's a good email address? Perfect. Okay. Good telephone. All right. All right. And then the good address, 123 Main Street. Perfect. Okay. And I'm just going to ask you guys a couple health questions here to make sure we can still proceed. The first one here is that any probation or on parole, DWIs, DUIs, any cardiovascular disease, peripheral vascular disease, anything like that? Okay. Any cancer or unexplained masses or tumors? Perfect. Okay. And neither of you have Alzheimer's or senile dementia or part of a nursing facility? Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome. Well, before I go any further, it does look like the needs analysis found some gaps in your coverage. So I have this mandatory read-off letter for you. It explains how the enrollment process works. But Joe Mary, listen, but instead of like reading this entire thing to you, let me just summarize it for you. So what it's basically saying, if I'm going through these benefits, you're nodding your head thinking, wow, well, these are some pretty great benefits. And I see why 20,000 different groups use them, why everyone's doing it. Then I'm going to go ahead and ask you to apply today. Now, on the flip side, if I'm going through the benefits, you're thinking to yourself, there's some pretty great benefits. I don't really see a need for my family right now. Then I'm going to ask you not to apply. Either way, yes or no. So that decision does need to be made today during your service period. That's just in fairness to all of our other members waiting to enroll. You'll see what they did is just, it's really set up as a no-brainer. It's going to be an easy yes or an easy no. But Joe and Mary, does that make sense? Okay. But whatever you guys do decide, they do want you to give me your opinion on a Google review for me, which is sort of kind of like my report card, as you can probably imagine. I try to get a 5-star rating. I'm not as good as most Uber drivers, right? But so it's just important, stop me if you have any questions, anything at all. Does that make sense? All right, you both promise Joe, Mary, you're gonna ask me some questions if you have them. Okay. Well, as you guys do know, over the years we go through contract negotiations with the union, benefit changes at work. It's give and take. And I'll tell you one thing, lately, it definitely seems like we're paying a lot more, but getting a lot less. The company actually is a labor advisory board of 50 international union presidents whose main job is to provide the best wages and benefits for their members. So from their feedback, along with feedback from members just like yourselves, they came up with a list of concerns that apply to all working families, whether they're in the union or they're not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and go over some of these with you so you have a good understanding of them, okay? Now, the first concern, excuse me, as copays, deductibles, and lost wages. Now, how is your health insurance through work, Joe? Yeah, well, listen, no matter how good it is, there's always gaps that aren't covered. Doctors and hospitals, listen, they're doing great. I don't know if you guys have seen like the doctor's parking lot, but I think they're doing just fine. But when you or someone in your family is hurt or injured, then there are lost wages as well as out-of-pocket expenses that health insurance simply does not cover. Now, the next concern has to do with funerals and final expenses. Now, have you guys ever dealt with a funeral before? No. Well, unfortunately, at some point, we're all going to have to deal with a funeral. Do you guys happen to know the average cost of a funeral? Yeah, I mean, right on the money, and once we add in, transportation, loan closing caskets, flower arrangements, and so on and so on, it's upwards of $14,000 to $20,000. Now, if you were a funeral home, when do you think they would probably want that money? Immediately, right? Exactly. And so that causes a lot of burdens for individuals and families having to go through a funeral. Now, the next concern has to do with paycheck loss. Now, obviously, no matter how great your benefits are through work, they won't keep a paycheck coming in. Now, that is a huge concern for surviving spouses like yourself, Mary, and both of your children. Now, the next concern has to do with mortgage and rent. Normally, aside from like the emotional trauma of having unexpected death can cause, having their home taken care of is the next most important thing. Now, if the kids move out from the home or anything much worse, they've wanted that to happen to make sure that families did not have to deal with that. Yes, exactly. Now, the next concern has to do with children's protection. Normally, most people want to take care of their kids, right? Just like you two. Due to the fact that work benefits, they don't provide any permanent coverage for your children or protection for their future. If they lose one parent or even both, they wanted to make sure that they had something in place because kids are the most vulnerable to experience severe consequences from the death of either one parent or both. And that's why it's a huge priority for families that we sit down with. Now, the next concern has to do with terminal illness, especially cancer. Now, right now in the United States, for men, there's a 1 in 2 chance of developing or dying from cancer. For women, it's 1 out of 3 until age 65. And it's 1 out of 2 after 65. Now, it's the leading cause of bankruptcy due to illness, and it's devastating to families. I think nowadays we all know someone who's dealt with cancer in the past. Now, the next concern is to do with your group benefits. Now, listen, group benefits, they're great, but they're for a group. Individuals have all different needs. More importantly, you can't rely on your group benefits because you don't own those benefits. Now, believe it or not, aside from retirement, people can lose benefits if they're unemployed or if they have a long illness before death. They wanted to make sure you had permanent benefits that would be tied to your workplace. Now, the last concern is the biggest of them all, okay? This has to do with affordability. Most people you would think to take care of all these concerns, it'd usually just be way too expensive. But we sit down with people making $7 an hour, some making $97 an hour. Some individuals are working tons of overtime, some retired, laid off. Regardless of their situations, they wanted this to be affordable for absolutely everybody. Now, the way they did set this up is, Joe, let's use a hypothetical, okay? Like, imagine if your boss comes up to you at work, he tells you, Joe, things are going absolutely great right now. So we're actually going to start paying you 41 hours instead of 40 hours. Now, with that 1 hour, are you going to tell your wife it's time for matching Ferraris? No, or are you going to call a travel agent and book a dream vacation? Are you going to start construction on your dream home? No, of course. Listen, of course not. But it's the same thing on the flip side. Now, let's say work's very slow. Things are not going well. Your boss is like, listen, instead of laying everybody off or having huge layoffs and some of your coworkers, everyone gone, what we're going to do is we're just going to send you guys out home hour early on a Friday. So instead of the 40 hours, you're doing 39 hours. Now, are you and Mary going to get rid of your cell phone bill? Cancel your, TV subscription to Netflix or Hulu? No, exactly. The idea is that 1 hour's wage isn't going to change your lifestyle. So what I'm going to do is I like to use an illustration to show you guys visually what benefits are being provided for you. So let me know when you guys can see this. Perfect. Okay. Now, as I was saying, let's imagine, Joe, you go into work tomorrow. Right now, you're both a job A, okay, which is the job here on the left. And with job A, you have your normal group benefits, and you're making $14.75 a week, okay? Now, let's say another job opens up. We'll call this one job B. Job B will have here on the right-hand side. You have the same group benefits, same coworkers, same responsibilities. Pretty much everything's the exact same. The only difference is the income. Excuse me. So the only difference is instead of the 14.75, you're making 14.35. Oh, we got a little typo here. Now that's about the 1 hour's wage difference, which, like you guys said before, that's not going to change anything in your lifestyle. So they want to take that 1 hour, that did not mean much, and they want to put it towards something that would be extremely beneficial to you guys in handling these concerns in a very simple, but also straightforward manner. Now, the first benefit covers your entire family due to any sort of accident. Like I said before, health insurance is great and group benefits are great, but they don't cover everything. So this program is going to pay you $100 every time that you're into a hospital, urgent care, anything at all. So if you stub your toe tomorrow, you're getting $100. I know it sounds crazy. Now, if it's a bump, bruise, bee sting, it does not matter. If you're overnight, you'll get $200. Exactly. And if you're in an intensive care unit or the ICU, it'll be $400. Now, let's just imagine here. You have an accident, something happens at work, you're in the hospital for 5 days. By having just this, you're going to be paid $1,000 tax-free. Now, considering you're not working and making money, then what that is going to be very crucial to be able to take care of your family. Now, you guys can see how much that benefits you, right? On top of that, you're getting $10,000 to $20,000 for the loss of any one hand, foot, sight, an eye, or both. Now, the last part of this benefit will pay you $20,000 to $100,000 of an accidental death benefit, all depending on the type of accident. And as you guys can see, you have nothing like this currently at your current job. Now, the next concern has to do with your funeral and final expenses. Now, there's a 100% chance you're going to use this benefit. The Freedom of Choice certificate will take care of all of the financial burden so your family doesn't have to. The FOC has already been set up with every single funeral home. Your Freedom of Choice is actually worth $30,000. And for Mary as well, it's $30,000. Now, the funeral director will simply call the number on the back of this certificate. Let's see here, get you a better view. And then we will take care of absolutely everything by sending the remaining money, whatever's left over, to your family tax-free. Now, they're using a permanent death benefit to fund your freedom of choice. That way, if it's a win, not an if scenario when your family needs it. Now, Mary, on your worst day of your entire life, when Joe's no longer around, you can see how this will make things a million times easier, right? Well, right now, you don't have anything like that in place. Now, the next benefit has to do with you guys' income. Mary, when something happens to Joe, you're probably going to miss him, right? You think after a few weeks go by, Joe's no longer there. Aside from missing him, what do you think else you're going to miss? His income. Exactly. So your program provides $100,000. It pays out to any type of death or any type of concern. Mary, this will give you and the children $2,700 every month for 3 years. I mean, $100,000 over 3 years. That gives you time to figure out everything you want to do with your life, your job, the family, the kids, other insurance money. Right now, as it stands, you guys don't have anything like that in place. Now, besides their income, the next thing most people want to secure is always their home. Now, that's exactly why the benefit software is offering you mortgage protection, where your home is protected up to $100,000 to take care of the mortgage. Now, Joe, statistically, you're probably not going to die during your working years. Probably going to be some sort of, health accident or anything like that. So this is funded by an accidental death benefit to save you guys the most money. Now, right now, your current job, there's nothing like that in place at all that's going to take care of you or your family. Now, the next concern from the benefit software has to do with your children's future college education requirements. Now, statistically, the biggest reason that people will not have to have the option to go to college in the future is their kids lost one or both parents, if they're due to minors. Now, the benefit software is giving you guys $100,000 for the college fund. That's $50,000 per child. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's pretty huge, right? And as you can see right now, you guys don't have anything like that in place. Also included is a special $10,000 life insurance plan for your children, so 18 and younger. So that would qualify when they do turn 21. They can convert this to 5 times that amount, or $50,000 permanent coverage with no health questions. Excuse me. But having this in place can be really crucial to them getting insurance down the road without having any health questions at all. When otherwise they may not be able to qualify. Your current program doesn't provide anything like that at all. Now, another important feature of this program is that you are diagnosed with terminal illness, such as cancer, you can access half of your freedom of choice and income protection while you're alive. Now, they're providing you with $65,000 for this fund. Joe Murray, that gives you the chance to put your family in the best situation possible if you got the worst news imaginable. Now, the remainder of that benefit would pay out to your family if it was a death benefit. Now, your current benefits don't provide anything there. As long as you can see this, it's active for you. They thought of pretty much everything, as you can see. And for Mary, for you, you're getting $15,000. And listen, unlike you guys' group benefits, which you can lose Joe, lose Mary, these are permanent portable. So if you leave your job, you retire, you leave the union, you keep these 3 years. In addition, if you're ever in a qualified layoff, Joe, we'll cover you for up to 3 months. If you're ever in a situation where there's a qualified strike, it's up to 12 months. This way, you and your family won't lose the benefits when you really need them the most. And by the way, You don't ever pay it back. But Joe Mary, I reviewed everything with you. I'm sure you can see why 20,000 different groups, choose this program above all others, and really why most families with our programs, they have more than any other company. It's because of the value and the full circle of protection that it provides. I mean, Joe, if something were to happen, like a terrible car accident today, in your family, guess what they would receive? $370,000 tax-free, all for about 1 hour's wage per week. With your current job, there's no guarantee that your family would receive anything at all. So, Joe and Mary, if you went into work tomorrow and you had a choice between job A here on the left and job B here on the right, which one would you take? Now, why would you do that if you're making more money over there at job A? Exactly. It's what everyone says. It's a no-brainer. Now, as you know, Joe, everyone does want these benefits, but not everyone can access them. So like I mentioned before, I do have to make sure that you guys can qualify. So first, let me run you through these health questions and make sure you can access them, okay? So the first one here, it says, the proposed insured ever been treated or advised to be treated for alcoholism, alcohol abuse, membership to AA, been advised by a physician to reduce your alcohol consumption? Okay. Has any proposed insured ever used drugs not prescribed by a physician, such as cocaine, amphetamines, barbiturates, hallucinogens, tranquilizers, narcotics, or sedatives? Okay. Has the proposed insured ever had their driver's license suspended or revoked due to a moving violation, been arrested by under the influence? Okay. No DWIs, DUIs. And you might laugh at this, but in the next 2 years, do either of you intend to fly outside of a passenger from a commercial airline? You plan on flying for United? Okay. Perfect. And has the proposed insured ever been advised to take tests and not done so or receive treatment for any of the following conditions? Heart, blood, chest pains, heart attack, stroke, heart, blood, or circulatory disorder? Okay, and participate in any of the following activities: auto, motorcycle, boat racing, parachute jumping, skin, scuba, skydiving? Okay. Have either of you guys been treated for any of the following conditions: diabetes, endocrine disorder, do you take hormone medications, paralysis, epilepsy, mental disease disorder, nervous system or brain disorder? That includes ADHD, PTSD, depression, anxiety. Okay. Any trouble with your knees, back, other joints? Anything at all besides just getting older? Okay. And the best of your knowledge, either of you have any departure from your physical good health? Okay. And has the proposed insured ever been advised to take tests and not done so or not received treatment for any of the following: cancers, unexplained masses, tumors? Has the proposed insured used marijuana in the past year? And I know we have Mary, she smokes cigarettes. Ever tested positive for AIDS or HIV? Age-related conditions? Acquired immunity deficiency syndrome? Loss of hearing, loss of sight? Rheumatoid arthritis, musculoskeletal disorder? Disease of the breast, uterus, or ovaries? Kidney, prostate, urinary bladder, genitory disorder? Cirrhosis, hepatitis, liver disorder, blood disorder, received a bone marrow transplant? Ulcer, colitis, or digestive tract disorder? Asthma, emphysema, sleep apnea, or other respiratory disorder? Okay. And neither of you are currently a resident of nursing facility, require in-home oxygen, or have terminal illness or Alzheimer's? And have you been hospitalized overnight in the past 5 years? Okay. Any medical treatment in the past 5 years that takes prescription medications besides like your daily vitamins? Okay. And in the past 5 years, have you had a physical examination? Perfect. Okay. Has any proposed insured ever been rejected for life, medical, hospital insurance rate, or failed to receive a policy they applied for? Awesome. Okay. Well, Joe and Mary, based on those answers, I'm not an underwriter, but what I'm seeing here, I should be able to get you qualified for the benefits. So the QR checklist is basically a mandatory checklist that we have to review with everybody, all of our members. It explains the enrollment process. First thing the checklist talks about is how the benefits are handled. So as you probably have an idea of, the program is set up on a once-a-month computerized deduction through your banking system. Having it done this way gets you guys a huge discounted rate, which we all like saving money. So your program is only $137 per month. Now, this can be handled anytime between the 8th and the 20th of the month. What date is best for you? The 20th? Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, well, Joe Murray, one thing is everyone always wants to take advantage of this program, just like you, because of the value and the cost is very small compared to the many benefits. Now it's really where, but some of member cancels could be a week, a month, a year later. And we end up seeing the same people in the next service period, 2 or 3 years down the road. And they're upset. They can no longer get ahead of where they were. It's more expensive. People always want to reapply for the benefits. Problem now that they can't qualify. Like I said, the cost is far greater than what they want to pay now. Worse yet, some people can't even access it anymore. The point is this is not a short-term fix. It's a long-term solution. And the longer you're in the program, the more valuable it actually is for your family. So if this $137 a month is uncomfortable for you, let's fix it right now. How does everything feel? Okay. I also want to emphasize the next draft, the very initial one is going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. But the bank might not reflect it for up to 10 days. I want to make sure we're good to go on the first draft so that the money reflects poorly on me if it's not there. As well as, it looks like I pressured you into something, which I definitely don't want to feel like it's the case. Are we good to go on the first draft? Awesome. Okay. Well, good. Like I said, make sure you guys keep this program in place for you and your family. And next time, you'll be really happy that you did.